What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDoWorkHereLady. This story's called Mom Was Hosting a Showcase. Guard didn't let me get my toys. So, first time post. Sorry if the title is bad. I didn't know how to title the story. This is more of a "My mom works here, sir" story. This is the only place I thought it would fit. Enjoy! It happened when I was around 4 to 6. My mom was hosting a showcase of a house. I absolutely loved it. This story happened a long time ago, so I don't fully remember it. Let's start. Here's the cast. There's me, which is me.
Mom's friend.
Guard? Personnel? So about 2 hours before the showcase started, I was playing in the basement with coworker. She was doing work and sometimes played with me. And my mom just came back from her office. So I left my toys down there to go say hi to her. I think the conversation went like this.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi, Mommy. How many people are coming?
Not too many.
Will I know anyone?
No.
Yay! I can make new friends. Oh, shut up. After this, some of the people started arriving, and also some personnel. 2 people outside the entrance, and 1 blocking the basement. While everyone was looking around the house, I made 2 friends. They were a lovely couple that were looking for a house in town. I showed them around the main floor, because I knew the basement was secret, and I couldn't go upstairs. I was strangely more polite as a kid. Anyway, after that, I started to get bored and hungry. I am gluten-free and couldn't eat anything on the main table. So I was heading down to the basement to eat and play with my toys. They're not eating their toys. At least I hope not. Then along comes the guard.
Sanders, this area is for hosts and coworkers only.
But my toys are down there.
Yeah, sure. I came here early and never saw you down there.
But
No buts. This is a do not enter center.
Later, my mom came into the living room where I was sitting in the corner crying. She wondered what was wrong and asked me.
What's wrong?
The mean person won't let me in the basement.
Why?
He doesn't believe my toys are down there.
Oh, sweetie. Let's go get them together.
My mom was walking me to the basement when the guard said,
Mrs. Last name. What a pleasure it is to see you.
Why didn't you let my son get his toys and eat? He's gluten-free, so I left him snacks with coworker.
The guard turns bright red in the face.
There you are.
OP, my name.
I wanted you to have your toys and snacks back.
She gives them to me, and the guard is now bright pink from embarrassment. He apologizes to my mom and me, and that is the end of the story. The reason I am saying this story is because I passed the house and it is being remodeled, so I wanted to post it here. Thank you for listening. Wow, that was a funny story. I love the dialogue for young OP. Very funny, very cute. Yeah, I can make some new friends. This story's called Substitute Teacher Thinks I'm 14. Preface. Occurred pre-Brovid-19. I am a brown 25-year-old male with tattoos up and down their arms and a younger-looking face. I work as an instructional assistant at a high school in a large public school district. I support students in their general education classes who qualify for special education support. Story. I arrived in a geometry class to support one of my students. I walked in as usual and stood directly beside my students near the front of the class to chat while we waited for class to begin. The substitute teacher saw me standing there chatting and made a beeline directly toward me. Standing inches from my face, she yelled, and I mean screamed, "Get to your seats! Class is going to begin!" in the snarkiest, rudest tone possible. I looked at her inquisitively, held up my staff ID hanging on a lanyard from my neck, and said, "I'm actually an IA, and this is one of my students." She had a strange look of bewilderment on her face, as if she didn't believe me, which then curled up into a frown. She then proceeded to continue screaming at me, only this time it was to tell me about how students from classes prior to this were terrible and how all the students at this school were awful to her. She asked if I could get security to remove students from her classroom because they wouldn't listen to her. I stared her dead in the face for a solid 10 seconds, said nothing, and then turned and asked my student to get up and go to the library to work with me. I feel terrible for any student who has been forced to endure this lady as an instructor. I reported the incident to the department head and administrators, and she will not be returning to our school. She and many others are the reason I am currently back in college to attain my master's and teaching certificate. So, thanks for that, evil lady. Ayo, badass. Teacher alert. Yes, please, we need more good teachers. Yes, and also, it's a proven fact that being a teacher automatically makes you like at least 3.5 points higher on a scale of 1 to 10. That's just how it be. I'm sorry, I don't control these things. But yeah, substitute teachers. For one thing, it's good to be tough and make sure that your students know that you are not to be trifled with. But it's also not a good move to just freak out at everything because they're just gonna think you're a freak out teacher and they're not gonna take you seriously nor respect you. You gotta be chill, you gotta be laid back, but you also gotta be firm and assertive. You gotta make it so that if you ever do raise your voice, it's a big deal and it scares the students into a shocked silence. So this story's called, I'm Not 12. It's my first time posting here and on mobile, so I'm sorry if I break any rules. So this didn't happen directly to me, but to a coworker I was on shift with. I used to work as a lifeguard and had a coworker who looked extremely young for her age. We were both 17 at the time, who was watching the main pool by herself as there were very few people in that day. Our pool had a policy of no backflips off of the diving board because of a messy accident in the past. Two boys about 14 or 15 years old were doing backflips off of it, so she approached them and asked them to stop as it was against the rules. To which they responded, "What are you, 12?" And she responded,
"No, I'm 17 and work here, and you can't be doing backflips."
They proceeded to ignore her even after she told them to leave the pool. Our supervisor had to come out of the office and tell them off. They listened to her because she could be scary. For clarification, I was also in the office at the time on my break. She was clearly wearing a bright red shirt saying lifeguard. What idiots, stupid teenage boys. I swear to God, teenage boys are the stupidest things on earth, and that includes, never mind, I'm gonna hurt some people's feelings. I was a teenage boy a couple years ago. Yes, believe it or not. So I'm allowed to say these things. You're all nasty and dumb. Ha! Fusion. Ha! I had to. This story's called, This Isn't Even Your Yard, Dude. This is my first post on Reddit. Sorry if I break any precious rules. I, 26, female, work as a meter reader for the city government where I live. Usually, my job is to drive around town with a radio in my truck that picks up electronic reads from all the utility meters. The data I collect is used for creating utility bills. Since I'm technically not in the water department, or the street department, I've never been required to wear a uniform or reflective gear of any kind. But I do have the option to wear reflective gear if I want to. I usually don't wear a vest because I'm usually sitting alone in my truck, or if I get out of the truck, my marked work truck is nearby with a flashing beacon on. Every now and then, we have trouble with water meters not picking up, and I have to go figure out what's wrong. Some water meters are super easy to locate, but some older water meters are in unusual places or just really hard to see or uncover because they haven't been uncovered for a while. Okay, so one afternoon, I'm looking for a water meter using my 4-foot-long metal stick with a hook on the end that opens the meter lids to shift debris as I go. All of a sudden, a man stops his truck in the middle of the road and hollers out his window. "Do you need any help?" I say thanks, but no, and keep looking. The man then pulls his truck into the closest driveway, gets out of his truck, and approaches me. He asks again if I need any help. I explain what I'm looking for, but tell him I think I've just found the meter I had. He then goes,
"Oh well, the water line runs this way. 1 meter's right over here."
He points to a meter I already checked.
"And there's also some meters right there."
He points to 2 more meters I had already checked. At this point, I'm absolutely very peeved. I've repeatedly told him I do not need help, as I've already found what I'm looking for, but he's not going away. So I ask if he lives in the house whose yard I'm standing in, and he says,
"Oh no, I live 3 houses down."
I make an excuse about needing something for my truck, and he finally leaves. But before he drives off, he asks if I need a shovel, and I flatly say no. I have about 3 in my truck, plus all the other tools I need to do my job. It is literally my job to locate these things. Does this man ask bartenders if they need help making drinks? I don't know, OP. I mean, yes, you did say you didn't really need help, but like, he couldn't have had bad intentions, right? Just like saying, hey, here's some meters right over here. Like, he couldn't have known you already checked them, but I don't know, he probably could have thought it was interesting or something. But I do understand the annoying part though. Like, you're just trying to do your job and he's kind of bothering you more or less, so. Oh, but it's weird because it's not even his yard, so I forgot. That's funny. Yeah, okay. Guy, just back off. Alright, this story's called Lady, You're Not Special. So I just found this sub and oh boy, do I have so many stories I want to share from my time working at the airport. Mandatory on mobile apology. My personal favorite is back when I was the supervisor for a vendor company that supplied employees to different airlines for services. In this situation, it was providing the wheelchair and other assistive services to those traveling with a disability. This was about 2 to 3 years ago, so details are kind of fuzzy. That day, I was supervising the smallest section. Small in that I only had 4 agents to oversee. Due to the nature of how we could get busy, and in those moments I needed all hands on deck, I usually allowed my employees to work between themselves when they'd have their lunch break and have them notify me, so I could be aware of the number of staff I currently have on the floor and what they are doing. One of my staff had just left for his 30-minute lunch break. I was making my rounds, making sure things were okay at the different gates. I then get a call over the radio that a passenger at the ticket counter needs assistance. I call several agents to see if they are available to assist. One of them responds back and says he's coming back from dropping his previous passenger off and will be there momentarily. Not even 5 minutes later, I get a call stating that the passenger at the counter is demanding for a supervisor because she's been waiting for 30 minutes. I checked my call log, as our radios record times and messages for situations like this, and see that my very first notification wasn't even 5 minutes ago. Yay! It's gonna be one of those customers. I make my way down to the ticket counter, which was another 5 minutes or so, and meet the customer in question. It's an older lady, Karen, and her boy toy? He doesn't play much of a role in the story, but throughout this, he is quiet, defers to her all the time, and is a big, muscular younger man than Karen. Good evening, my name is... I was told someone needed a supervisor.
Yes, it's this lady right here. She needs a wheelchair.
Yes, I've been waiting for 30 minutes, and my flight is getting ready to leave, and I need to be there. This is unacceptable.
Now, as a supervisor, I get paid more than the pushers, and the pushers are dependent on tips, with some places paying the waitress wage. So if any of you who aren't aware of this, yes, you may tip the wheelchair agent, and they will greatly appreciate it. Because of this, I try to make sure that I don't take any of my employees' passengers, as I don't want to mess with their tips. Is that what you say? Yeah, I gotcha. Kinda like how I always drink the juice before anyone else can, because they don't need those calories and all that sugar and acidity on them teefies. Nah, I gotta protect them. I'll bite that bullet. I understand, ma'am. I have notified my agents, and I have an individual on the way. He was dropping off another passenger, but he should be here shortly.
No, I need to be at my gate now. I can't wait another minute. I'm gonna miss my flight.
Well, I could take you through security and tell my agent to meet us at the other side of security instead of here. Would that be okay? okay?
Yes, that's fine.
As we go through, I ask for her boarding pass to scan it to indicate I've picked her up, which enables me to see all sorts of information, including if she's pre-check for TSA. She wasn't. I take her to the TSA agent to have him check her boarding pass and ID, then enter the regular line. Her status was also irrelevant due to this terminal having certain hours where they have pre-check, and shut it down for other time periods when it's slow.
Why are we going here? I'm TSA pre-check.
Well, I didn't see it on your boarding pass, but currently they have it closed down for right now.
Well, why are we waiting behind all of these people?
They were like 4 people.
I'm in a wheelchair, so I am able to cut and go to the front.
Unfortunately, I can't do that, ma'am. We are able to go through an expedited line. At this, I point towards the line I'm referring to, which is the line to have TSA look at your information before getting back in line to put stuff through the machine. But once we reach this point, we need to wait in line behind everyone else.
You don't understand. I'm gonna miss my flight.
I asked for her boarding pass at this point. Oh, you still have about 15 minutes before they even start boarding, and then an additional 30 before they close boarding. It's just right around the corner from here, so we have plenty of time to make it.
No, you don't understand. I have to be the first one on the plane.
When I still insisted that I couldn't take her to the front, she stood up from the wheelchair, marched to the front without the need of any assistance, and started yelling at the TSA agent that she's in a wheelchair and needs to come to the front of the line. TSA agent said that if she wanted to cut in front of everyone, all of 3 people now, she needed to ask them. Her travel partner then meekly asks each and every one if they can cut in front, and they said sure. As I get the luggage and chair up to the front, Karen tried to go through the metal detector. TSA agent asks for boarding pass, and she shows both that and ID. Due to her being old enough to go through even without being pre-check, the agent allows her through. At this, Karen turns to me and yells,
"See? I told you I was pre-check."
I apologize, ma'am, but I didn't see it. She gets my name after threatening to report me, and I transfer her over to the agent who I had called, who was supposed to have picked her up. Story isn't over yet, folks. I then went to the ticket counter, got the name of the agent who called, who confirmed that she wasn't waiting for 30 minutes, got a copy of the lady's boarding pass, got the name of the TSA agent, and wrote a report at the office detailing them as witnesses and stapling her non-TSA pre-check boarding pass to the paperwork. It's been a few years, so I forget the term, but the person who is making sure we are in compliance with the ADA and the ACAA calls me about a month later and tells me that he's gotten a complaint about me. He saw my paperwork, but wanted to hear it from my mouth because
It's so crazy, the stuff that she said about you, that I know she's lying. I want to hear this story.
I didn't get into any trouble for that. First off, Aroni and cheese, I'm pretty certain that a lot of people that are wheelchair users can temporarily stand up and, like, you know, walk around without the assistance. I believe the wheelchair is, you know, also for those who have trouble standing and walking for extended periods of time, because in the airport, you're doing a lot of that. Walking and standing and walking some more, like that panic walk, and then there's that, slight jog, and there's that run, and then there's the full-on sprint, because they're closing my damn gate! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.